Good morning, everyone. Good morning, everyone. As as you're as you're wandering in, as you're walking in, we're glad to welcome you back to Andrews Academy. For some of you, this was Andrews University Academy, and some of you it was Emmanuel Missionary Academy. So we welcome you to Alumni Weekend, and we're glad that you're here today. All right, just getting some feedback there. I'm happy to bring greetings on behalf of Andrews University and the administration. My name is Faris Magessa. I am class of 97, and I currently serve as the board chair of Andrews Academy. We're so glad that you've chosen to join us today, whether you've traveled a long way or maybe you've just been right here in 49103, Barron Springs. Wherever you might have come from today, whether it's overseas or locally, we're glad that you're here today. For some of you, this might be your first alumni weekend back, and we're glad that you have chosen to come back. And for others, you might be walking into this building thinking, this sure looks different than when I was here. The carpet might be different, the pews might have been different, but even though the building facility has changed, what Andrews Academy is today is still what it was then. We're honored to welcome the alumni, and later on we'll have a roll call, but alumni from the 1900s, the Emmanuel Missionary Academy college years, through the 1960s as Andrews University Academy, and from 1978 when this building was built, and it became now as Andrews Academy. It's amazing to think over 150 years, God has been leading this school, all the way back to those early days at Battle Creek College, when Goodloe Harper Bell was teaching the children of James and Ellen White. The same God who was there then, the same God is still here today. The same God that was leading you through your times at Andrews Academy is the same God that is still walking among us every day of our life and season. This reminds me of a simple but powerful verse in Lamentations 3:22-23. Because of the Lord's great love, we are not consumed, for his compassions never fail. They are new every morning, great is your faithfulness. God's faithfulness, that's really what today is about. As we reconnect with friends, as we connect with the past and celebrate what God has done, we look ahead knowing he's not finished yet. He's still writing his story for each one of us. At this time, let's stand for a word of prayer. Father in heaven, thank you for bringing us together today. Old friends, good memories, and a chance to celebrate the place that means so much to us. Thank you for being faithful through every change, every challenge, and every generation. We ask you to bless this weekend, bless the Sabbath School, the church service. May your spirit fill this place and remind us of how good you have been. Be with every alum, every student, every family represented here, the faculty and staff, and we look back with gratitude. Help us to look forward with faith. In Jesus' name, amen. The program will continue unannounced as in the bulletin.
Good morning and happy Sabbath. My name is William Crawford, and I am of the class of 1990, which is always so hard to believe, 35 years ago. My goodness, 35 years ago. After I graduated from Andrews Academy, I went on to Andrews University, and I went into education, which is something I had wanted to do my entire life. And I went and graduated and did small schools. I taught in Ohio, but came back to Michigan, taught in my home school, which is not far from here, which was Glenwood School, which was a one-room school. And then I transferred to Kalamazoo Junior Academy, where I was there for 10 years. And I am currently now at Niles Avenue School, just down the road, which is an awesome, amazing school there. And that's going on close to 9 years. It goes so quickly. But I have a legacy here with Andrews Academy because my dad went to Andrews Academy, and he was of the class of 1960, and so I picked up his name tag here today. So he would have been celebrating 65 years. That's so hard for me to believe. He was a faithful attender of the alumni when he could. He would always sit back and just quietly and looked forward to it every single year. But he passed away last November, and so this coming next month, it'll be a year since he's passed away. But he did pass on that legacy to me. Along with that, I had one aunt who graduated the year before my dad did, and his brother did also. I have 4 nephews who have graduated through Andrews Academy, 3 nieces, and my wife, I don't know what happened to her, but she only did her freshman year here. And then she decided to go to some boarding school, Indiana Academy. So I still give that to her sometimes. But so she has some ties here too. And of course, since I teach, there are so many kids that transfer here to Andrews Academy. And I can't stress how glad I am that they do transfer to Andrews Academy. What an important and absolutely wonderful educational institution we have right here in southwestern Michigan. And so last year, that legacy continued because my son, William Gavin Crawford, he was of the class of 25. And so he is carrying that on too. You know, there's that cliche that says, where does the time fly? You know, we all use it every day sometimes. It's still hard to believe how quickly a year can go. And we know that even though it's that cliche, we have a purpose. And so when I say, where is the time flown? I say we're getting closer and closer to where we're going to have that perfect alumni weekend, which is in heaven. And I'm so looking forward to that. You know, there's a special reason more than that too. And so I think back to all of the teachers that have inspired me. I'm going to name just a few, some who have passed away. Mrs. Vitrano, how many people remember Mrs. Vitrano? I think I got here just before she retired. I think it was her last year. And so I learned typing on an electric typewriter, not the manual I tell my kids at school. So I learned on an electric typewriter. But she had also taught my dad. So that was kind of an interesting thing. And then, of course, her brother, Mr. Smith. Who remembers Mr. Smith? You know, I remember him coming down here, and all the kids would start, you know, doing the bird calls and so forth. You know, kids do those types of things. I know, I'm a teacher. And so Mr. Smith, he also was a big inspiration to me. And probably one of the biggest inspirations to me was Mrs. Russell. And when she passed away not long ago, that really hit me hard. And I remember, you know, quickly texting all of my siblings and, you know, nieces and nephews, and they felt it too, because she was just that type of a teacher that even when we would come back later, she wanted to know what we were doing, how we were doing. She wanted that connection, and that was so important. And then last but not least, Dr. Orson. You know, Dr. Orson was Dr. Orson. You know, you first came in, you were a little fearful of him, which I think is kind of good. You know, I'm a principal. I like it if the kids are a little fearful of me to begin with. But then you got to know him, and you realized what an example he was. And I was lucky because when he moved on from Andrews Academy, he moved on to Andrews University, and he was in charge of when I did my student teaching. And so I also had that opportunity for that legacy to be carried on. But I just want to say Andrews Academy holds a special place in my heart, and I hope it continues on within my family. And I just want to say thank you to all of the staff and all of the people who support Andrews Academy, and just in general, Adventist education, which is so important. Have a blessed Sabbath. Thank you.
Good morning. I told Mr. Atkins I put more work into this than I did his biology class, and he said no comment. So good morning and happy Sabbath. My name is Andy Helm, and it's an honor to stand here with Mrs. Banks to present the Teacher Legacy Award. This award not only recognizes her years of dedication in the classroom, but more importantly, the lasting impact a teacher can have on a student's life. So for me, this moment is personal because not only did I have Mrs. Banks for 3 years at Andrews Academy, but also as my kindergarten teacher. And this moment might feel special for a lot of you because Mrs. Banks taught kindergarten, 5th grade, 6th grade, and countless classes here at Andrews Academy. And that alone speaks volumes about her dedication and the lasting impact she's had on her students. But it doesn't matter when you had Mrs. Banks as your teacher, you're guaranteed to be greeted with kindness, experience her sense of humor, and feel connected to her as a teacher and a friend. So some of you might remember on the first day of class in Academy, Mrs. Banks would walk around with a bag of candy filled with Smarties and Dum-Dums. She would make you choose in that moment if you were going to be a Smartie or a Dum-Dum in her class. And it really was a simple moment, but it perfectly captured her playful sense of humor, one that immediately put us at ease and made the classroom feel like a welcoming place. And by creating that kind of environment, students felt welcome to visit her throughout the day, whether you needed someone to talk with, someone to share a laugh with, or just wanted to hear her sing. Her classroom was that place. As a kindergartner, Mrs. Banks invited us to go sledding at her house on what seemed like the biggest mountain we had ever seen in our lives, only to later in life discover it was a small hill in their backyard. But being invited to her house to go sledding wasn't just about having fun as a class. It was about building a community and showing us that she cared about us as individuals and not just as students. But what truly stands out about Mrs. Banks is her unique ability to connect with her students on a personal level. She didn't just teach us lessons from textbooks, she formed lifelong relationships, becoming a mentor and a friend. Many of us still look back on those years and realize that the lessons she imparted went beyond academics. She connected with us by going on essay campouts, chaperoning educational tours, playing intramural sports, teaching us how to bake, how to sew, and trying to teach me how to crochet. A relationship with Mrs. Banks doesn't just end after you graduate from Andrews Academy. After graduating from college, I moved to Southern California, where the Banks currently reside, and was able to reconnect with her. I've seen many former students pass through Southern California that make it a point to stop by her house. So if you're in the area and you choose to stop by her house, be prepared to see the same Mrs. Banks. She'll probably be watching one of her favorite Detroit sports teams, doing something in the kitchen, or spending time with her family. But regardless of what she's doing, she will make you feel welcome, and you will probably spend a few hours on her back porch enjoying her company. So on behalf of every student who has ever had the privilege of sitting in your classroom, thank you. You taught us to love learning, created lifelong relationships, and to have fun along the way. So please join me in honoring Mrs. Banks with the Teacher Legacy Award.
Thank you. I never thought this sort of thing would happen. We came last year for the big shot over there, and my husband, and he got a whatever it is from the university. And anyways, I didn't even know this existed actually. But John Reichert said he was willing to turn it over. He got it last year. And when I was here teaching, he was one of my very, very best pals. And so was Sherman, who's going to hear about it, that he's not here. Not a good look, Dave. Anyway, I had much fun teaching here. I enjoyed it much. And when they wanted me to do intramurals, which, well, I guess I am totally qualified to do, I thought, what are you thinking? But I enjoyed it and had lots of fun doing that. Going on the trips, like you said, you took my words there. Going on essay camp out. Apparently, you didn't have real good food before that. And so I was glad to help with that at essay camp out, and we had a lot of fun. And I'm glad that I call him my Andy. Was out in California. We had him for Thanksgiving, I think, a few times and whatever. But now I'm taking care of DeShimmy. Those of you who know him. What'd he say?
Someone's got to.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, but he's very successful. Has his own insurance company out there, and he's doing great. And I also see Mikey Choi from time to time, and a few others. Anyway, thank you so much. I do appreciate it.
Good morning and happy Sabbath. My name is Alice Sapia, and I am the new Partnering for Eternity coordinator. This program that we have is a program that takes students and match them with a mentor to create an intergenerational relationship. And it's an experience for blessings, but for services between the students and their mentor. The program is free for our mentors. However, the mentors receive the gift of friendship and the ability to bestow their knowledge and skills to a younger generation and hopefully make an impact for the students for years to come. So we've invited today one of our students, Elliot Meshner, and his mom, Stephanie, and their mentor, Elaine, with us. And we're going to be asking them just a few questions so you guys can get an idea what our program is about. So, Elliot, how long have you participated in the PFE program?
I've been a part of PFE for 4 years now.
So, Elliot is one of our seniors at Andrews, and he has been with us since his freshman year. Can you tell us some examples of activities that you and your mentor do every week?
So it's different every time, but usually something like mowing the lawn or washing windows, but it's not chores every time. Like, we do Sudoku, and we've made quite a bit of food, so it's good.
And Elaine, why did you decide that you wanted to be a mentor with this PFE program?
Well, several years ago, I was finding it harder and harder to do some of the chores around home. And I was praying, Lord, help me know who to have to help me, because I can't do all this anymore. And that went on probably for about a year. And then I learned about the PFE program, and I was really thrilled when it worked out for Elliot to come and help me.
And what do you enjoy about Elliot's visits each week?
Well, that was just one reason why it was important. The second reason probably was actually more important to me, because after I'd spent almost 20 years teaching in this building with students, when I retired, I really missed my students. I was busy, but I still missed them. So when Elliot started coming every week, it was like a connection with at least one student, and we talk about everything imaginable and have a good time at the same time as we're doing the other things. So probably the second reason was even more important than the first one.
And then Stephanie, how have you seen Elliot grow through the experience with PFE?
So I've seen a lot of good things happen in Elliot. For the past 4 years, he's really learned more time management skills, And also, more importantly, even I've seen him grow in his self-confidence, his communication skills through interacting with his mentor have been wonderful, given him lots of opportunities for that, and also even his writing skills. He's been coached on his reflections and just learning attention to detail. The relationship part, I think, for me, is even the most important thing I've seen with him is the connection with his mentor. From the beginning, I've seen how much she cares for Elliot and just the time that she took to do fun things with him, and for Elliot to have the opportunity to connect with someone older and wiser during some of his more vulnerable years as a teen is so huge. And I, of course, would be remiss if I didn't mention the financial part. We have 1 in college and 3 at the academy right now. And I am so thankful that Elliot can contribute to his tuition in such a meaningful way, and the PFE program has helped enable that for us, for our kids to be in academy and also to be in college. So I'm just thankful.
Yeah, that answered my last question, was how it benefited your family. And then this is Joelle Ashley. She is my assistant this year. She used to run the program, and she is going to tell you a little bit more about it.
So Stephanie touched on the scholarship part of the program, and that's kind of what I wanted to draw your attention to right now. If you would go to in your program, page 18, it talks a little bit about the program itself and the way that the scholarship works. Students receive $800 per semester, and they visit just once a week, 14 times a semester. So if you do a little math there, it's pretty nice scholarship money for the amount of time. Students can also have another job. So we get this money from a grant. 70% of it comes from a grant that we apply for every year. And it defrays approximately $41,600 worth of tuition for students. So I love that. This program, have you even ever heard of a program that does this, where it's great for the students, great for the community, great for the school, the parents? It's just one of the best philanthropic activities that I've ever been involved in. The challenge is that the grant only subsidizes 26 students a year. And every year we have more than that need and want to participate. If we had the money, we would do it. So to meet this challenge, we've started an endowment a few years back, which we're hoping that we can use the interest earned to add more students to the program. To help facilitate our goal this year, there are contributions pledged to this ministry to match this weekend's PFE offerings up to $10,000. I'm going to say that again. To help facilitate our goal, we have people willing to match what you give this weekend up to $10,000. Let's do it, people. If you'd like to participate with an offering to this program, you can write PFE on the memo line of a check made out to Andrews Academy. Or you can give your offering online with a credit card by using this QR code that's displayed here. Also, it'll be on the vertical screen in the comments. Remember, there's a dollar for dollar matching offering up to $10,000 for this weekend. Thank you very much.
One of my favorite authors has said, true success in any line of work is not the result of chance or accident or destiny. It is the outworking of God's providences, the reward of faith and discretion, of virtue and perseverance. Fine mental qualities and a high moral tone are not the result of accident. God gives opportunities. Success depends upon the use made of them. Our first honoree, Catherine Cadell, has truly used the opportunities God has provided. A few years back, when the dairy closed, things looked bleak for the animal science program at Andrews, and Cadell took a well-worn tool from her tool bag, prayer, and using that in conjunction with about 8 models, went to the administration and said, here are some ideas that we could do with our Agriculture Education Center program. And that is what became of the former dairy complex. They're now, and she has been directing that now since 2016? 2019. It has been a blessing, not only to her students, but to several of the animals. It is a win-win, which provides students an invaluable opportunity to learn hands-on by experiencing feeding and caring for a wide range of animal species, both large and small, for extended period of time. And the animals, well, several of them are rescue animals that would have perished if not for this program. In addition, Cadell and her students are working to revive the Guernsey goats that were nearly decimated during World War II. And there's much more that could be said, but due to time constraints, I'll just say that Kathy Cadell has truly followed the inspiration of Ecclesiastes 9:10. Whatever your hand has found to do, do it with your might.
When I got the notice from the alumni office that they were looking for nominations for the Alumni of the Year, Ellen Menard-Tambunan came right to mind. She met the criteria for the award to think deeply, to live fully, to serve unselfishly, and to honor God completely. Ellen is a quiet, non-pretentious person with a heart for service, which led her to want to study human medicine. She became board certified in family practice and practiced in areas in Cassopolis and Niles where some of the most economically challenged patients live. Family medicine deals with patients of all ages, and in some cases you can have generations in your care, so you really get to know the families. She would meet the patients where they were and listen to them and work to meet their needs. I did some looking for online reviews, Rate My MD, and a number of the patients talked about how well she listened to what they said, how she really heard them, and that was very meaningful to them. Even now, as she has moved to California, she continues to serve, and this time it's our veterans, at a VA care center in Redlands. She and her husband, Timble, have supported the academy students and the university students in a whole number of ways. I'll just mention one, the Tambunan Luncheon every year for the business students helps them to connect with professionals in their field as they prepare for the next path on their journey as they enter the workforce. So I was delighted to learn that the awards committee had accepted my nomination of Ellen for this Alumni of the Year award.
Good morning, Andrews Academy. Welcome. I am representing Safari this morning along with Dr. Hobenick, and I'm going to let him talk first about our recent trip, and then we'll talk about the next trip.
Thank you, Gina, for the chance to talk about our trip to Cuba. If you could put my slides up, I'd appreciate it. In 2018, Andrews Academy went on a mission trip to Holguin, Cuba, to help develop a youth camp that they were just starting. And I have a combination of slides from that trip with our recent visit there in end of July for their first Pathfinder camporee. This is what the place looked like when we got there in 2018. Wide open fields with cows wandering around. Later that year, we had students at the same tree from Andrews Academy practicing their climbing skills. Now, you can see that same tree kind of just to the left of the metal structure, surrounded by tents. The Pathfinder camporee, the first one for Cuba. 2,000 Pathfinders came. Students who went will remember that what we did mainly was help start the construction of their administration building. We laid out the lines, we started digging for the footings, we carried all the dirt away, and there was even a adventure club that came to watch us work. And I imagined that when we were down there in July. Those are the ones that are Pathfinders and junior counselors now, enjoying what we did. We laid some cement, and this is the building now when we were there in July. Inside, there are rooms. We got to stay in one of them. There's an open area for feeding people. There's a nice modern kitchen. And there was a usual Pathfinder camporee. With the clubs setting up, they have some modern tents that they've gotten. They've also made their own tents when they had to. Here you can see they used a tarp to make a tent. They cook with wood over an open fire. And all of them had a story about the miracles it took for them to get there to that camporee. And here's some of the vehicles they came in. The whole place was supported by two 8,500-watt generators, since electricity in that area comes on maybe for 2 hours, then off for 6. Supposed to come back on for 2, but might come on for 1. So we were fortunate to have some electricity because of some donated generators. They didn't have boats to go skiing with or other activities. This was their fun activity. They pumped water from the river up to this spray thing, and the kids would stand under the spray, get wet and cool, and have fun sliding down the mud slope. They enjoyed it. Most recently, Rich Sutton and his Mexico and Beyond mission brought down this metal structure. The first time a structure had been created, designed, basically made in the United States, shipped in shipping containers, and assembled there. That made it possible for them to enjoy the meetings throughout the day. I want to tell you about two people. One is the man in the straw hat, Felipe. He's been the construction manager for the last 6 years there at the camp, building everything. His assistant, Michael, is to his side there. Felipe was, here he is when we were down there in July. He was recently diagnosed with myasthenia gravis. And I'd love to tell you about the miracle that happened, multiple miracles, to get him those medicines, but we don't have time. Here he is with the medicines that he recently received. Michael was one of the construction helpers there. Here he is helping to remodel an old house that was actually our center while we were there, that we cooked in and our tents were behind. These are pictures from the construction back then in 2018. But it was only when we went down there this last time that Michael told us about his story. I didn't realize this. He was just getting out of 10 years in prison when we were down there. He was staying with family in the area, and he said to himself, I've got to change my life. My life is not going in the right direction. Felipe gave him a job working with him there in the camp. And Michael says that he was so impressed with the Andrews Academy students. They worked hard, but they seemed to have fun doing it. They were so friendly among themselves and to the Cuban workers. He said they preached, they gave children's stories, like from their heart. And then the thing that most impressed him, and I talked to other community members there, they remember this time. It was 3 o'clock in the afternoon. The kids were resting after having in the shade after working all day, and this truck showed up full of concrete block. Nobody said anything, but those kids jumped up from their shady spots, ran to the truck like a swarm of ants, and took down all those blocks and piled them up there. Michael said, "Those kids have something that I need." So here he is today. After we left, he became active in the church group that was started there. He gave his heart to Jesus, and now he's the leader of a Pathfinder club. Here's his Pathfinder club. We were amazed at the stories he told about the miracles that are happening in his life and in the life of his Pathfinder kids. So many of these Pathfinder kids are not Christians even. They're friends of church members who are invited to join the club. They don't have anything else to do, and so they join the club. And their lives are changed. So then, we are ambassadors for Christ as though God were pleading through us. You Academy alumni who were there in 2018 were ambassadors for Christ, changing people just like Michael. The Lord has done great things for us, and we are glad. Your job as Academy alumni is not over. You did great things in Cuba, but we still need to keep supporting So Safari. A good way to do that is through our Earhart Endowed So Safari Fund. You can pick up a brochure out there at the little So Safari booth. Gina's going to tell you now, kids are going to be writing to you, needing some help for this next So Safari. Continue to make a difference.
Thank you so much. There's photos up there right now from the most recent trip to Santo Domingo in the Dominican Republic, where we were able to finish the walls of the church. We didn't quite get those triangle corner edges, the triangles done on the ends of the building, but that church is now completed, and we're thankful for your support for all of those things. So the next trip is planned for Paraguay in South America. It will not be going over Christmas break. It'll be going over spring break, so that's a change. Leaving a few days before, coming back a few days after, about 10 days we'll be gone. So we would really appreciate your support to continue doing what Andrews Academy does so well, spreading the word and sharing Jesus with others. And sometimes we don't even realize the impact that we're making. The trip is costing each student $2,800. And if you know anything about finances, that's a lot. So please continue to support and talk to me, with Dr. Hobnick, and we'll be happy to help you figure out how to do that. Thank you so much for your time.
Good morning. Backed by popular demand, the class of '75 has reconvened. It's been 50 years. It's very hard to believe it's been 50 years, but we have come back. It was known as AUA back then. In 9th grade, we attended school in the morning at Ruth Murdoch Elementary School, then known as the Junior Academy, and then we were bused to Bell Hall for afternoon classes at the academy. During the nicer weather in the fall and the spring, a lot of us would walk in single file, and we created a path along where the science complex is until we were asked to stop. Lunch was served from carts in the hallway. and that came from the cafeteria. We were the first class to have our senior class pictures taken outdoors. There were no cell phones, there was no caller ID, no social media, and we used to just answer our phone at our homes not knowing who could be on the other end. I do remember Dan Fish. Hey, Bruce, how's it going? Far out, man. Yes, and now we would like our class of 1975 to please come along the front as we share a few memories, please. And see if we can go back down memory lane. Thank you. Wow. It's nice to see you all again. So, we'd like to share some random memories from classmates we got together yesterday in the evening time. And these are some memories that made our experiences at the academy meaningful as well as memorable. Keith Snyder remembers C. Roy Smith as a calm teacher, even when he had a couple of friends painted doorknobs and seats with a chemical concoction that would go bang when touched.
Cindy Smith Sloan fondly remembers when Miss Edith Davis found out that her family could not afford to send her on the senior class trip, so Miss Davis paid for her to attend with her class.
Robert Ling remembers when Mr. Gilden trusted him enough to ask him to run an errand to Benton Harbor in his red, white, and blue Ford Maverick, pretty trusting of a sophomore in academy. Mr. G taught history in a way that made something boring come to life.
And you may want to raise your hand when you hear your name so everybody knows who we're talking about. Or not. Ruth Ann Yancer Snow remembers walking into a room as a brand new student and having Lois Snow greet and welcome her. Ruth Ann later married Lois's brother Dean, and they have been married for 49 years. Dean and Ruth Ann met and got acquainted while tutoring fifth graders together during community service time on Wednesday mornings.
Bill Faber has fond memories of working as a student reader for C. Roy Smith, except for having to clean out the dirty biology lab refrigerator full of petri dishes and half-dissected frogs.
Doug Register's favorite memory is, where's Doug? There we go. Doug's favorite memory is producing the Expo with a jailhouse theme. And if you were to look inside of here, you would see photos of the staff for this expo wearing police uniform, legitimate police uniforms, sitting in the Berrien Springs Police Station. Apparently, there was a lot of explaining to do, all the way up to the university president.
It was a scandal. Calvin Kubo recalls that since we weren't allowed to call faculty by their first names, he would call Mrs. Wills rode a horse. Mrs. Wills, in turn, affectionately called him Little Grasshopper.
I remember calling Mrs. Wills Mrs. Won'ts. Not that she was one to say no much. Several remember the unofficial tours of the steam tunnels under the sidewalks of the AU campus, led by Arnie Pugh on Friday nights. And I also want to mention here that I remember vividly the tours of the half-completed science complex led by Bill Faber and Arnie Pugh, and we never got caught.
Vivian Jones remembers TPing Mrs. Upshaw's house with a couple of friends just before a rainy night, which ended up making a huge mess.
Lenny Zarita Souza fondly remembers singing under the direction of Mrs. Upshaw, who on at least one occasion threatened us with a broken piece of the piano called her tonsil taker outer, to help maintain order in the choir room.
Ruth Ellen Smith Gardner remembers how Mrs. C, Mrs. Christoffel, made her feel welcome and special, as Mrs. C did for all of us.
Dan Kress remembers when working as a student reader for Alan Anderson, who, let's see where he's sitting, over there, that he and two classmates, Mark Howard and Brad McClellan, were asked to design the flag mall between PMC and the James White Library. They researched what was needed for the project and built a scale model that was later used for fundraising for the project. For those of you who may not be aware, the Flag Mall is a focal point on campus demonstrating the many different nations represented by students on our campus and is still used today during AU graduation and homecoming weekends. Dan also remembers being called into Dr. Orison's office to photograph a certain flag that had been lifted from a museum in Canada so local authorities could identify it and return it to its rightful owners. And that was one of our class members that lifted it.
No, that, you guys are awful. One of the memories that I have that the class brought back to my attention is that I was in silhouettes and we were practicing on Friday afternoon in PMC because we were performing the next day. Something was said, I responded, and I was told to leave and go to Dr. Orson's office. The walk from PMC to the academy was quite long as I was thinking about my future. But as I chatted with Dr. Orson, he actually was trying to stifle a laugh and sent me off to study hall, and that was the end of that.
I have memories of C. Roy Smith and his Sabbath morning bird expeditions. And I remember that Bruce and Casey Chukta and I decided we were the Mod Squad. This was Link, I was Julie, and Casey was Pete. And we had an awesome time going with Mr. Smith and calling the birds. I'm going to tell a little story on this guy here. I also remember in one of our classes that Bruce, being the inventive guy that he is, discovered that you could open up a compass, and if you did it just right, you could stick it in the acoustic tiles in the ceiling. And young folks, close your ears here. I remember one particular day when he employed the rest of the group, the rest of the class, to do this, and when the teacher walked into the room, there was a whole array of compasses sticking from the acoustic ceiling. It was very interesting. I personally remember the spiritual aspects of the academy when I was here and how uncomfortable they made me. But I am so thankful today for that Christian education and for my mom's and dad's commitment to send me to get that foundation that still supports me today, and I'm just so grateful for that. We miss the people who can't be here today or this weekend for whatever reason, but we especially miss those from our class who have passed away. And we are going to read a list here. I don't know if this is exhaustive. Kenny Beck,
Willard Gustafson,
Cherie Dodd,
Patty Edgerly,
Marianne Palmater,
Larry Oxley,
Londa Zimmerman,
Leonard Taylor,
Susan Wills,
Brian Lutz.
And we will miss them dearly. Thank you.
Okay, there'll be a picture taken. I know some of you are asking how many of you are here. We'll count by the picture. But Mr. Atkins is going to be taking the picture, so if you can kind of come in a little bit. If some of you want to go up on the stage, you can. Then we can have a 2-level, those that can. The picture will be taken by Mr. Atkins, so he's right by the clock. So if you're looking towards the clock, right in the middle.
This is always a very special moment in Andrews Academy life. We're just so glad that you can join us for this event today. To my left, to your right, Randy Graves, who was principal here for a number of years. And then to my right, or your left, Jeannie Leiterman, who was principal, and each of them shared that role in a longer period of time than I. However, I was here the longest. My name is Cleon White, and we're just so happy that you can be here today. There are others out there somewhere, if I can shade my eyes from the light, who were former faculty and staff. I mean, they were faculty at Andrews Academy, at Andrews University Academy. I don't know if there's anyone here from EMCA or Battle Creek Academy. However, if Sherman is here, he was a member of the Battle Creek Academy faculty. All right, anyway, you folks stand. We need to recognize you. You're kind of the backbone of this institution. Thank you so much.
Good morning. I am proud to be part of such an esteemed group, to be able to say that we are former principals of Andrews Academy, but I'm especially proud to be the only female in the group. Just kidding. I have the honor of asking our newest alumni groups to stand up, and usually they're still in bed, so I don't know how many will be standing up here, but we'll see. If you are a current student, especially if you're graduating as part of the class of 2026, please stand. Look at that. It's crickets in here. Have mercy. What? Oh, there we go. Yay! Congratulations. Thank you for representing. If you graduated in the class between 2021 and 2025, that would be my youngest son, who's also not here, will you please stand? 2021 through 2025. What are we doing, parents? Mercy. All right. 5-year group. My oldest graduated from this group. The class of 2020, please stand. This is your first honor year. Yay! Oh, so good to see you. All right. And I'm sure the class of 2015, 10 years, they're going, can't believe it's been 10 years already. There you go. Congratulations. It's good to see you. The 15 honor year, which is class of 2010, please stand. Oh, I hope by the time pictures are taken after lunch, there's more here for that group. But that decade, if you attended or graduated between the years of 2010 and 2019, please stand. Anybody? There you go. All right. 20th honor year. If you graduated as part of class of 2005, please stand. Oh, there you go. Nice job. All right, gentlemen, I hope you have better luck than I do.
Well, thank you, Jeannie. Jeannie, we go back a while. I was her vice principal back in the day, so maybe had a little bit with you being a principal in all the future years. First group that I'm calling out is Silver Reunion Year. We had good time last night at the Dawsons. This is the class of 2000 to 25 year. If you will stand. Mr. White, we had discussions on how many white cards they received last night. So, the decade of 2000 to 2009, if you will stand. Any in those years, 2000 to 2009. Okay, so that would be the silver reunion you get. Now we will do the 30 year, 95. 30 year class of 95. Here we go. And with William Crawford's year, the class of the 35 year in the class of 1990, if you will stand. Okay. And then the decade of 1990 to 1999, if you will stand. There we go. Zach, we got you in there, so. The 40 year would be the class of 85. 40 year, class of 85. And then the 45th year, class of 1980. Okay. And we'll have the 50-year reunion group stand one more time. Before you do, though, I want to mention that Stoney and Don, thank you for bringing Rhoda in style this morning in the car. So appreciate that very much. And let's have the 50-year class stand again so that you can see where each other is sitting and being able to connect afterwards. And because you're kind of scattered. Yeah. Cool. Thanks so much. I missed the decade. I just looked at that. Did I have the decade of 80 to 89 stand? Yes. I can't miss the decade. Okay.
Well, that's okay. We're all seniors. So we're looking next at the four runners of the Golden Reunion, and that would be the class of 1970 with 55 years. Oh, look at them out there. Thank you, thank you. Now just stay standing because I'm going to ask for that decade to stand, 70 through 79. Oh, look at them all. Now, that's where the real wisdom comes in. Until you reach 1965, Now, where's the class of 1965? They had 60 years. Look at them all. Talk about wisdom. Wow. Now they're, I think that must be, let's go to 1960, the 65th year. Did we do that one? All right, whatever. 1960 to 1969. Let's have them stand. We're going to have the whole population standing here in a minute. Thank you, thank you. Now, in 1955, that represents the 70-year class. Now you're getting, oh, look at that. Wow. Okay. Now, I even would be able to stand on this one if I was at the right academy. In the decade 1950 through 1959. And we also need to have the 1950 75-year class stand. Where are they? There they are. Look at that. That's great. If we ever thought about wisdom, we know where to go now. Then the 1945, which is the 80-year class. Would there be anybody here from the 80 years ago? I guess we all should stand. Oh, don't we wish for Jesus to come soon? In 1940 to 1949, that decade, anybody here from that decade? We have had people stand before, but they may not be with us anymore. So who is the oldest? Was this the oldest one back here? From the 1950, the 75-year class, and the decade 1950 to 1959. All right, good deal. Oh, wow. Thank you so much for coming to this alumni gathering.
We're informal here, so we want to make sure, did we miss any groups? We complete? Be sure, Mr. Atkins would ask me to remind you that there are pictures afterwards, and that's going to be before they actually go to the meal tables? Kind of on the schedule, okay. Right out here on the memory wall. So don't forget to get your class picture taken there. Thank you.
All right, good morning, Andrews Academy. Let's bow our heads for prayer. Heavenly Father, thank you so much for this time to gather and remember. Thank you so much for the current students that Andrews Academy has and all of the wonderful graduates that are present here and potentially at home. Please bless us all as we go out into the world. Help us to be the salt and the light. And we pray for your soon coming. Amen. And church will start in about 10 minutes, but feel free to have a little biology bathroom break. And also there is Ms. Christoffel turned 100 a little bit ago, and we have a big birthday card out there for you to sign if you remember her and would like to wish her well. So it's out on a table there. We'll see you back in here in a little bit.